All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We are back with another video, and this time it's fresh finds, fresh vinyl finds for the month of August, and got a nice little variety here. So let's get right to it. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. First off, a band that really need no introduction to the VC, to the vinyl community. Talking about the band Big Star, and this is a sort of a best of or greatest hits, simply called The Best of Big Star. This is a double album that first came out in 2017 on the music group label. And it's a double album, but it plays at 45 RPM, which is interesting. Now, some people don't really care for that. I don't really have any issues or problems with that. I think you really get, the best sound when you're dealing with, the nice big or fat wide grooves, if you will, with regards to a 45 RPM. So I know it's a lot of flipping the albums because they can only get so many songs on each side. But I've got no issues with that. But yeah, so this is a double album, 12-inch that plays at 45 RPM, and really enjoy this. This one features a lot of sort of single edits of the songs, and it's a nicely put together package, shall we say. It's interesting that it's nice and glossy on the cover, but there's not gloss on the back cover. So anyone not familiar with this band, this would be a nice place to start. I didn't even know there was a nice sort of best of or greatest hits available for Big Star, which makes sense. And as I mentioned, it's a nice double album, nice presentation. I did keep the hype sticker. And the hype sticker says, 2 LPs, 45 RPM, one of rock's most influential bands. Of course, the wonderful harmonies with this group. Features iconic songs and rare edits from #1 record, Radio City, and Third. And very nice, nice sleeves with the inner lining and the nice custom label there. So you've got that. But what was interesting for the sleeves, which I've never come across, and they look like a standard paper sleeve with, the lined paper sleeve, but the lining isn't completely attached. So when I first took it out of the sleeve, it like the lining almost came right out. It's just attached here, but not attached through the rest of it. So hadn't seen quite that before, so that was a little interesting. Okay, so here is an interesting compilation. This is Cash Cows, and this came out on the Virgin label. Now, this was originally a UK release. This is the Canadian version, which means there's a sprinkling of Canadian artists on here. So some of the artists that appeared on the UK version don't appear on this one. This, I think, came out the same year as the UK version, 1980 on Virgin Records. And I love just the fun packaging, Cash Cows on Milk One. So they're the artists involved. Some of the Canadian artists include Nash the Slash. We've also got Martha and the Muffins, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. But Tangerine Dream, that appear on this one, don't appear on the original UK one. So just, having fun with the packaging, which is kind of nice. And a really interesting selection of artists, including Captain Beefheart's featured on this one as well, on the Virgin label. Okay. Really happy to come across this one. This is the Hollies and Stop, Stop, Stop. Now, the UK original release was called, I believe, For Certain Because. But what's interesting is that both the same cover and both the same track listings for each. So this is a capital Canadian release, and that's one of the few times that you would see both the same track listing and almost the same cover other than the title changed, because often, as we've talked about with Beatles releases, even with Hollies releases, they'd be different configurations for the North American release. Some songs would be left out, and then it would appear on other albums. But this is one of the few times where it's the same track listing and the same cover, with the exception of the title. Now, Stop, 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 of course, was the last track featured on here, which was a hit. Now it's got an autograph from the former owner. Now, this is on, as I mentioned, it's a Canadian release on the Capital 6000 series. We've talked about this one before. The Capital 6000 series was for the Canadian market, where the idea was to showcase kind of the best of European and American and Canadian artists for the Canadian market. So you get select early releases from the Beatles, Hollies, but even Vera Lynn. Like, it was quite a wide range, wide variety. But the Hollies and Stop, Stop, Stop. And a nice album overall. So nice that Graham Nash still with the band at this point and on the classic Capital Rainbow label. Now, as Chris from Blues Guy Vinyl would say, I got me some Fanny. And in fact, not one, but two Fanny records. Fanny, a great rockin' band from the 70s. This is their album Charity Ball. And often on Fanny albums, there'd be a few kind of covers, unlikely covers This one is interesting for who was also involved, at least in the artwork. According to this, the cover photo of the band, Fanny, for this was taken by Candice Bergen, yes, of Murphy Brown fame. And it says the album designer is Dean O. Torrance, so that would be Dean of Jan and Dean. So there you have it. And that's all the information there. But a band worth checking out if you're not familiar with it. I know Chris at Blue Sky Vinyl has talked about this group. I was very happy to see that this included the original lyric sheet, which is a really nice, nice paper. And it also includes one of the great sleeves that you can see on old Warner Brothers or Reprise albums in terms of these mail-away offers. So at the time, you could mail away for the Warner Reprise Loss Leaders, and they were so reasonably priced. They were just like $2 each for a double album, $1 for a single album, and these were just amazing compilations for Warner Reprise artists, but they were so innovative in the way they put them together, so creative, and these were from mail away only, so these weren't really available in record stores, but I thought that'd be so cool. And on the classic Reprise label. And then we have Fanny and Mother's Pride, a very creepy cover, but another great Fanny record. And I think I've got just about, I might be missing still one or two. They didn't release too many albums, but I might be just about complete in my Fanny catalog. This one came out in 1973 on Warner and also included, the lyric insert as well, and on the same Reprise label. So there you go, more Fanny. Fantastic live album. Didn't even know about this. This is Edgar Winter's White Trash. Now, they didn't release a whole lot of albums. Edgar Winter certainly released a number of albums, but for the band Edgar Winter's White Trash, this is a double live album that features Johnny Winter and Rick Derringer, and this is just terrific. Now, the cover for this is a little bit worn, but man, oh man, great R&B, great rockin', and there's they do a version of Tobacco Road, which takes up an entire side of one of the albums. This is really, really good. And this on the classic, epic, straightforward, epic yellow label, but worth checking out. I mean, this is really smoking from start to finish. I was really happy to pick this up. And happy to pick up whenever I see some Donovan, try to grab it. And so this is Donovan getting into the psychedelic years now with the album Wear Your Love Like Heaven, Donovan. And this was one of two albums. It was initially released as kind of like a box set. And it says on the back here, right in the corner, that this album is record number 1 of the deluxe Donovan package, A Gift from a Flower to a Garden. And I believe the second album was more like a sort of a kids or children's music oriented album, but this is a nice album. This is getting in now, you know, Donovan with sort of the psychedelic years. So pretty happy to come across this one, and this on the Epic label. David Clayton Thomas, a former lead singer with Blood, Sweat and Tears, a Canadian, started off sort of in Toronto, Yorkville area as really sort of hard R&B edge. Was able to come across a few of his solo albums, and I do have a number of David Clayton Thomas solo albums, but I was able to pick up this one, David Clayton Thomas and Tequila Sunrise. Not to be confused with the Eagles' Tequila Sunrise. He doesn't do that song on here, and I don't think that song would be released until about a year later. So this one was from 1972 on CBS Columbia. This is sort of his first break from Blood, Sweat and Tears. He would later come back to the group. If you were listening to this, you'd think you'd be listening to a Blood, Sweat and Tears album. The album comes out on the inside like this. You know, it's got the David Clayton Thomas signature vocals, signature sound with horns, and on the Columbia 2i label. Then the next year he went to the RCA label. This one's simply called David Clayton Thomas. On this one he does a cover of a song Hernando's Hideaway, which is from the Broadway show Pajama Game. He also does a cover of the Beatles' Can't Buy Me Love. Again, the signature sound with David Clayton Thomas, horns. Often there'd be a cover song or two on the albums, but this time he is on the RCA label. And then I was able to pick up this David Clayton Thomas album, simply and creatively called just Clayton. And this is on ABC Records. What's interesting about this is that it's produced by Jack Richardson for Nimbus 9 Productions. And Jack Richardson was the Guess Who's main producer. Nothing too spectacular about this. And I think it was after this album he took a considerable break from the music industry, from recording. He would then go back and is still releasing albums to this day. But it was after that album. That came out in 1979. He then took a pretty sizable break, but then is back and singing, recording to this day. And one more for you, the Eurythmics and Savage. The Eurythmics featuring the incredible Annie Lennox and Dave Stewart on RCA in 1987. And I Need a Man was one of the big hits from this one. Also, Put a Chill in My Heart. Always nice to pick up the Eurythmics, and this comes with the original sleeve, which is quite nice, with the lyrics, and there we go. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for dropping by, and we will certainly chat again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.